Latest headlines from ABC15 are sponsored by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorneys. One call, that's all.
Hello, I'm Megan Thompson, tracking those top stories for you from ABC15 Arizona.
If Donald Trump wants to enact tariffs, then do it the right way. Go to Congress. And we're headed to Washington, D.C. to slay this dragon that is called Trump's illegal tariffs.
Today, Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays will be at the U.S. Supreme Court in a consequential hearing regarding the Trump administration's tariffs. This is one of 30 lawsuits Mays has brought to the administration. Scripps News Group's Joe St. George is breaking down the case and what it means for the economy.
It is one of the biggest cases before the United States Supreme Court this year, with massive implications for the global economy and your wallet. Can President Trump impose all of these tariffs on his own? The president believes he can. Others say he cannot.
President Donald Trump, throughout his second term, has invoked the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, a law from the 1970s, to legally justify his tariff hikes on nearly every country on the planet. But the businesses suing the Trump administration say that law does not explicitly grant President Trump that power. At times, President Trump's tariff decisions have rattled the global economy and created trade tensions with many allies. Lower courts have ruled so far against President Trump, but it will be the Supreme Court that has the final say. On Truth Social, President Trump writing, quote, "The case on tariffs is one of the most important in the history of the country. If a president is not allowed to use tariffs, we will be at a major disadvantage against all other countries throughout the world." This case is also about presidential power. In recent years, the Supreme Court has expanded presidential power with a broader definition of presidential immunity. But at the same time, it has limited presidential power. For instance, it restricted former President Joe Biden from issuing widespread forgiveness of student loans without Congress.
Previously, President Trump teased the idea of actually attending the oral arguments taking place today in person, but in recent days he has ruled that out, not wanting to be a distraction. Joe St. George, Scripps News Group, Washington.
Well, some good news for travelers in the wake of the catastrophic flooding in Gila County. ADOT now says they have completed emergency repairs on the flood-damaged section of the US 60 between Superior and the Globe Miami area. We showed you this dramatic video checking in with the debris all over the roadway last month. Now, thankfully, officials now tell us the travel lanes are back open. Our team also getting an update from Tempe city officials after FEMA visited this week to assess the need for federal assistance. We're told the city isn't expecting a decision on that funding for months. However, the city is launching a new initiative starting Friday called Tempe Needs You, a tool for neighbors to help others with things like storm damage and food assistance. Well, Spirit Airlines is pulling out of Sky Harbor Airport. The budget carrier announced it will stop all flights to and from Phoenix on January 8th. Spirit is also leaving Milwaukee, St. Louis, and Rochester, New York. The move comes as the Florida-based airline works through bankruptcy proceedings. Spirit has lost more than $2.5 billion since 2020.
Staying dry and warm, but our temperatures are slightly cooling. In your most accurate forecast, I'm meteorologist Ashley DiMartino, and we are going to see a few clouds early today, clear skies through the afternoon, 88 degrees the afternoon high. So normal is 81, so we're sitting well above where we should be for this time of year. Not a lot of change with some outside factors today. The air quality will be moderate, pollen count will be medium, and the UV index sits at a 5, so your burn time is 45 minutes. Highs around the state for today, 64 for Flagstaff, 79 for Globe, 67 for Show Low, 71 for Prescott, and 86 expected for Bullhead City. Extended forecasts were dry, but there's that cool down for us on our Thursday and Friday as the highs hit 85 degrees. Plenty of sunshine heading into the weekend, but temperatures will warm as we head into our Sunday and Monday. Back to the upper 80s for the start of next week. Overnights chilly, upper 50s to low 60s all week long.
For the latest headlines, weather, and traffic, head to ABC15.com, or you can download our free ABC15 mobile app.
These latest headlines from ABC15 are sponsored by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorneys. One call, that's all.